What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Wellthy Stocks, back with our weekly Apple update video where we take a look at how Apple stock traded this past week, key levels of support and resistance that we are looking at. We'll take a look at where the market overall, I know it's a weird time in the market. I think, some key things that I'm looking at in the market, and based on that, what we think Apple stock could do. We'll also take a look at an article that I found interesting on where Apple, or where tech rather, overall tech as it's been selling off, where it currently stands, and what the future of it could look like. So real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, don't forget to hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts on Apple are, and I'd love to chat with you guys down there. So let me go ahead here and hit record, and we will get right into the video. So Apple ended the day, if you guys remember from my video on Friday, decently up after taking a decent beating for the first half of the day. We really rallied. If we scroll into the candle here, went all the way as low as 117, which was lower than kind of where we went the past week when we had a similar kind of instance of really dropping and then kind of recovering for the second half of the day. So we ended the day green, which is definitely a good sign. But let's take a look here quickly at the 5-day chart. So you guys remember Monday was an absolutely great day. We went from the 123 up to the high 128. But pretty much from that point onwards, it was red, 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 and then a little bit of green to end the week, right? So we went from there, quickly gave up the gains that we started here Monday, right? So Wednesday, we were hitting up against that mark, but went beyond. Thursday, we went from 122 all the way to 119, so about sub 120. And then we tried to push up at the 120-150, got rejected, went all the way down to 117, and then, recovered a little, or pretty nicely, I'd say, if we scroll into there on Friday. Now, the overall market kind of did that, right? Apple being such a large company, over $2 trillion in market cap, Apple does not usually deviate from the market, right? So if the market's red, it's going to be hard for Apple to, kind of overcome that. We saw Monday, Apple had relative strength when it was pushing up real nice. But other than that, right, the market's been red, and, Apple has been no different. So now let's take a look at an article that I wanted to share with you guys on where tech currently stands. Then we'll take a look at, Apple's key levels of support and resistance. And then lastly, I want to share kind of my thoughts on the market and what I think, the market is doing currently, and point out kind of the goods and the bads of it, as we always like to do here. So for this article, it's talking about Wedbush. They're fighting the sell-off and looking for that massive tech opportunity. I know there's two sides to it. I know some of you guys down in the comment section thinks Apple is going to 90. I know a lot of you think Apple is going to 150, right? That's okay. You can have both of those opinions, and you can make money trading both of those, right? You could buy calls, play the upside, you buy puts, play the downside, whatever you think. So I'm not going to say which one is right. I'm bullish on Apple. I think it's going up from here, but to each their own. And this is an article talking about the upside that Wedbush sees. Now, Wedbush is one firm. It doesn't necessarily has to be right, but I like kind of what they're talking about here, so that's why I'm sharing it. So Wedbush is still buying the dip with massive buying opportunities across the board. And, they talked about attractive options in enterprise software, including Microsoft, Salesforce, Zoom, Slack, Palo Alto Networks, and Apple. So all names that are pretty, oversold or getting there. They're talking about potential 25% upside and a 30% upward move for the upcoming year. And the plays that they're talking about currently, right? Microsoft, DocuSign, Salesforce, Nuance Communications, and the 5G supercycle play. So they're breaking it down, right? They're saying cloud computing, if you want that, Microsoft is a good exposure, which I've made a video on that recently as well. Salesforce, I love that stock. It's not doing too well. That's the weird thing about Salesforce stock, is I think the company is great. Stock can be a little, laggy, if for lack of a better term. 5G supercycle play is Apple, and that's something that we've talked about over and over again, right? This is their first 5G iPhone, and I think that, this is the first time that we've seen in the excitement around an iPhone in recent times, right? I think we were getting to the point where a lot of people were not necessarily upgrading their iPhones every year, but with this year's iPhone, we're talking about, totally new technology in the 5G that came out. So a lot of people were, upgrading. And based on that, right, a 175% price target on Apple implies a 44% upside. That's for the company like Apple, right? 44% upside. is usually what you would see on growth names, right? Companies that are not well established yet. So to see that on a company like Apple is absolutely great. Now they don't have to be right. I mean, they're talking about DocuSign having a 47% upside and Microsoft having a 30% upside. So they don't have to be right, but I definitely do think that, Apple to 150 is definitely reasonable for this year, assuming that, we don't see some crazy big tech litigations, we don't see kind of laws and regulations put forth by the government to break up big tech. So with that being implied, right, they're talking about the upside that exists. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Camera got shut off for just a quick second here, but I see the upside, which is the reason why I remain bullish on Apple. The key though, let's take a look at future levels of support and resistance, and then I want to talk about the market overall, right? So similar to kind of what we've seen, each of these levels is a support level, which when I say support, I'm talking if the stock drops, where I think we could see a bounce. So, let me go to the 1-day chart and I'll kind of talk about this. If I scroll back here, right, when it goes down, let's say here, this is a level that I was expecting a bounce off 119.09. We got one at 118.62. When I say resistance, it's hard to find Apple going up this week, so might have to scroll back a little bit, right? So this is a perfect example of resistance. It's going up, it hits a level, it comes back down. Now this day it was bullish and pushing up, so it was able to take a little breather and push through, and then resistance at our next line, right? So that's what I mean by resistance and support. Support is where if going down it can bounce. Resistance is where it could see the other side of that where it's going up and it's not able to break through that level. So on the upside, we're right at this level, the first level here, which is the 121.50s level, right? So assuming we break past that, I think the level we're pushing at is 123.69 and the 126.65. Now, what I like to look at between these levels, although I think these levels are kind of the main levels of support and resistance, are the highs of the previous day, right? So we're making lower highs each day for the past 4 days. So I'm looking at, the high of Friday, which is $120.98. Then coincidentally, our next high is right at our 123.69 level. And then before we get to 126.65, a soft kind of resistance point for me would be the 125.71 level. Mainly what I look at are these lines, but sometimes, if I'm trying to see, hey, 123.69 to 126.65, that's about a $3 jump. Apple doesn't usually move as much, so maybe we get rejected at this level. That's what I'm looking at on the upside, guys. If we can clear 121.50s tomorrow, 123.69, and then 126.65. On the downside, right, we've got this trend line here that's coming in right at kind of the 120 mark. Below 120, we've got the 119.09. And then if we keep dropping, we've got the 117.57, but which was our support level, which was the level we bounced from on Friday, right? So our level was at 117. We bounced a little bit before that. So hopefully, if we go down, I'm hoping we don't go below 120 again, but hey, market's been super up and down lately, so wouldn't kind of mark that out just yet. So again, looking at 120, looking at 119.09, looking at 117.57. My goal, again, if the market is green this week and we're looking strong like we did Friday, I'm looking for us to clear 123.69 in the first couple of days of the week and make a push towards 126.65. Look, we got stuff going on with the stimulus, which typically I wouldn't consider to be, something that pushes the market. It's usually the run up to that. But in this case, we've already sold off so much that, I think that could be a little bit of a push. We were oversold about a week ago. We are, at 37 right now, which is more on the oversold side, but under 30 is what's actually considered oversold, right? So again, if we see a green week, I'm looking for a push towards 123.69, and then if we can clear that in the first half of the week, 126.65, and then depending on, how fast we get that, I'll keep you guys posted on, new price targets for the week. If we go down, I'm hoping that we bounce from the 120 level, but if not, we could see more downside. Now, one thing I want to talk about with the S&P 500 and what I'm seeing, actually, before we go back to that, my main goal for this week, you guys, is for Apple to be above this 89 exponential moving average, which is in the 125.72 by the end of this week. The reason I say that is because if we scroll back, and we take a look at this bottom line here, Apple rarely, I mean, it hits it kinda, but rarely is below this line, as we've been for, you know, a week and a half now. Last time we did that was kind of back in the COVID times, but really before that it was back here in May 2019. So typically Apple doesn't do that. And again, my goal for this week, not a price target, but goal for Apple would be to capture that 125.72 level. It's only about a $4 jump, so I definitely think it's doable and hoping for that to happen. Now, getting to the S&P 500, if you guys watched my videos on Wednesday, I talked about, hey, we are kind of in the same weird spot that we were in last week, right? Last week we closed between the 34 and the 55, and I talked about the downside potential. We went down to the 55. Said the same thing on Wednesday. Thursday, we not only went to the 55, we went all the way down to the 89, thankfully bounced. Same thing with Friday. You know, we were between the 55 and the 89. Sure enough, we went down to the 89, but we saw a strong recovery. That recovery that happened in the second half of the day is kind of what's giving me hope for this upcoming week, where I personally think that if that kind of strength continues, we could see a little bit of a push up. Now, obviously nothing is guaranteed, and it could be, you know, kind of the dead cat bounce that we saw last week. One green candle followed by, you know, more fall. So we had a fall, a little bit of a green, fall, made lower lows, and then we're now pushing up. So I think for me to kind of think the market is done falling, because we have had a decent pullback, right? It's not quite the 10%. So 10% would be a little bit of a run room down to kind of the 360s mark, but we did pull back to the 370s and buying came in, so that gives me a little bit of a hope. So again, watching this very, very closely, watching the market very closely to see how the market reacts, because ultimately Apple is a big company and it's not going to deviate too much from the market. With the Qs, I talked about this as well. Let me see here. So the Qs are below that 89 EMA. They've hit it a couple times, but this time they are below it. What I was watching for there is this kind of 299, 298 level, the break of 300s. The reason it being, look, when we're pushing up back in kind of August, September timeframe, we barely broke above that. Let me get rid of the EMA so it's easier to see. We sold off, took about a month or so, came back mid-October, hit it, rejected, pulled back again, rejected, pulled back, and then finally broke through. So for us to come back down, we are back where we were in late November. We were there in October, and we were there in September. So we're talking about September, October, November, December, January, February, 6 months worth of movement, right? We were here 6 months ago too. That's why it's key. I mean, that level has been a strong resistance for us. So I'm hoping that, you know, when it comes to the opposite, it also holds up as really good support now that we're above it. If it doesn't, and that's kind of what I'm looking at more closely with the QQQs, which is more tech heavy, right? We've seen that 10% pullback from 340 to, 297 on Friday. So we've seen that. So I'm hoping that that was the correction we needed and we start to push up. But again, if it gets below 300 and stays there, and we get rejected here and we start to push down, right? We're not able to break above it. That's when I think it could get problematic. So keeping a close eye on that. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope we have a great green week, but also I'm looking for the signs that tell me that we might not have a green week. And I like to share that with you guys because I don't want to just be like, yeah, buy Apple and it's only going to go up, right? Stocks over the long term go up, but short term can go up and down. I'm holding on to my Apple shares. I'm holding on to that July call that I have. Even though I'm down decently on it, I figured, hey, I paid for it to be out in July. I paid for that time, might as well use it. But again, if the Qs drop below that 298, that's kind of my exit for that. But until then, I do think we see a recovery and I'm staying bullish for now. So hope you guys found this video helpful. Hope you guys all have an amazing week. Hopefully hope you guys all had an amazing weekend. Hope this upcoming week is a great one for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and comment down below what your thoughts on Apple are. And I'd love to chat with you guys down there. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day. And until next time.